character of Batman, created by artist Bob Kane and writer Bill Finger, first appeared in Detective Comics 27 in May 1939. Since his inception, Batman has become one of the most enduring and iconic superheroes in popular culture. His evolution across various media, from comics to television to film, reflects the changing tastes and societal influences of each era. Batman debuted as a grim and gritty vigilante in the late 1930s. His early stories in Detective Comics, and later in his own series, Batman #1, featured a dark tone with the Caped Crusader confronting mobsters, corrupt politicians, and sinister villains like the Joker and Catwoman, who also debuted in the first issue. This era defined Batman's core elements: his tragic origin, his secret identity as billionaire Bruce Wayne, and his commitment to fighting crime. Batman's first appearance outside comics was in a 15-part serial in 1943, starring Lewis Wilson. This serial, and its 1949 sequel starring Robert Lowry, depicted Batman as a straightforward crime fighter. Though somewhat crude by modern standards, these serials were significant for bringing the character to a broader audience. The most influential television portrayal of Batman before 1989 was, of course, the 1966-1968 Batman TV series starring Adam West as Batman and Burt Ward as Robin. This show embraced a campy, humorous tone, characterized by colourful villains, over-the-top plots, and iconic catchphrases like
"Holy popcorn!
Holy flypaper!
Holy jack-in-the-box! Holy red herring! Holy stuffing! Holy ravioli! Holy grammar! Holy safari! Holy headlines! Holy iceberg!"
Despite its departure from the darker roots of the character, the show was a cultural phenomenon and introduced Batman to a new generation. Its impact was so profound that for many years, this campy version of Batman dominated public perception. Spinning off from the success of the TV series, the 1966 Batman film featured the same cast and maintained the campy, light-hearted style. It was notable for bringing together multiple villains, Joker, Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman, in a single plot, a format that would be emulated in future Batman movies. By the late 1970s and 1980s, the campy image of Batman began to wane as the character in the comics returned to his darker roots. This transition was catalyzed by the changing taste of comic book readers, who increasingly demanded more sophisticated and mature storytelling. The success of darker comic book stories and the emerging potential of superhero films led to a renewed interest in portraying Batman as a serious, complex character. However, it wouldn't be until the release of Tim Burton's Batman movie in 1989 that the character would truly become a legendary screen icon and usher in a new wave of comic book movies that continues to this day. Batman was directed by Tim Burton and starred Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and Kim Basinger. The story involves Bruce Wayne, a wealthy industrialist who secretly fights crime in Gotham City as Batman. The city is plagued by crime and corruption, and Batman's efforts intensify when Jack Napier, a mobster, falls into a vat of chemicals and transforms into the psychotic Joker. The Joker wreaks havoc on Gotham, and Batman must confront him to save the city. The journey to bring Batman to the big screen began in the late 1970s. Producers Michael Uslan and Benjamin Milniker acquired the film rights to Batman from DC Comics in 1979. Uslan, a lifelong Batman fan, was determined to present a dark and serious version of the character, a stark contrast to the campy portrayal of the 1960s television series. However, convincing studios to invest in a dark superhero film was a significant challenge, as the campy image of Batman was still prevalent in the public consciousness. Screenwriter Tom Mankiewicz, known for his work on several James Bond films and the first two Superman films, was hired to write the initial screenplay, titled The Batman, in 1980. This script took inspiration from Batman's darker comic book roots and featured classic villains like the Joker and Rupert Thorne. Despite this effort, the project stalled for several years due to a lack of studio interest and the perception that superhero films were box office risks, especially after the diminishing returns of the Superman sequels. The project gained momentum in the mid-1980s when Tim Burton was brought on board to direct. Burton, who had achieved success with Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice, was seen as a visionary director with a unique gothic style that could redefine Batman for a new generation. Burton's involvement was a turning point, as his vision aligned perfectly with the darker, more complex portrayal that Uslan and Milniker had always envisioned. With Burton at the helm, The script underwent significant revisions. Sam Hamm, a comic book fan and screenwriter, was brought in to rewrite the script. Hamm's version emphasized Batman's dual identity as Bruce Wayne and the vigilante hero, but also delving into the psychological depths of both Batman and his arch-nemesis, the Joker. Hamm's script was pivotal in shaping the narrative structure of the film, although a later rewrite by Warren Scarron introduced the idea that the Joker was responsible for the death of Bruce Wayne's parents, thus creating a personal vendetta that fueled Batman's quest for justice. With several directors entering and exiting the project over the years, several high-profile actors were considered for the role of Batman, including Charlie Sheen, Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, and even Bill Murray was seriously considered.
That's right, boys. It's Dr. Venkman.
One of the most controversial and talked about aspects of the film's development was the casting of Michael Keaton as Batman. Keaton, primarily known for his comedic roles in the likes of Beetlejuice and Mr. Mom, seemed an unlikely choice to portray the Dark Knight. Fans and critics alike expressed skepticism, fearing that Keaton's casting would undermine the serious tone that the filmmakers aimed to achieve.
I think that he's kind of a wimp.
It don't seem that it's right, you know, that you should have a smaller man playing as a Batman.
Well, I'd rather see Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I think Arnold Keaton would be good too.
I would have liked to seen a sexier person, a more macho man.
However, Burton defended his choice, believing that Keaton could bring the necessary depth and duality to the role. The casting of Jack Nicholson as the Joker was another significant milestone. Nicholson was a major Hollywood superstar at the time, having already won Oscars for his roles in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in terms of endearment. Nicholson added considerable star power to the project, helping to generate buzz and attract attention to the film. Nicholson's involvement came with a hefty price tag though. In addition to his $6 million fee, he received a cut of the film's box office revenue and merchandise. Following the huge box office success of the film, it's been estimated by several industry experts that he received anywhere from $90 to $100 million for his work on the movie.
Life's been good to me.
For the role of Vicky Vale, Bruce Wayne's love interest, actress Sean Young was originally cast in the role, but soon before shooting was due to begin, Young suffered an accident while horse riding. Kim Basinger was quickly cast to replace her. Basinger worked as a model during the 70s before switching to acting in the early 80s. After making her feature film debut in Hard Country, she gained international fame and recognition by playing the role of Domino in the James Bond film Never Say Never Again. Although being most well known during the 80s and 90s as a sex symbol, Basinger earned critical acclaim in the likes of The Natural, receiving a Golden Globe nomination, and won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 1998 for her role in LA Confidential. Filming on Batman began on October 10, 1988 at Pinewood Studios in England. Pinewood was chosen for its capacity to house the extensive and elaborate sets designed by Anton Furst. Furst's vision for Gotham City was critical in creating the film's dark, oppressive atmosphere. The set design drew inspiration from a blend of Art Deco, modernism, and industrial decay, creating a city that was simultaneously timeless and dystopian. When designing the Batsuit, costume designer Bob Ringwood sought to create a suit that conveyed power, intimidation, and a sense of mystique. The goal was to reflect Batman's role as a dark, brooding vigilante who strikes fear into the hearts of criminals. Ringwood and his team drew inspiration from various sources, including medieval armour, which provided a sense of protection and durability, and modern tactical gear, which added a contemporary edge. The design also took cues from the comics, particularly the darker tones of Batman's recent portrayals in works like Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. The construction of the Batsuit posed significant challenges, particularly in finding materials that would achieve the desired look, while allowing for the necessary mobility and comfort for actor Michael Keaton. The final suit was primarily made from a combination of latex and neoprene, which gave it a sleek, almost otherworldly appearance. The cowl was designed to be form-fitting, accentuating Keaton's jawline and adding to the character's intimidating presence. However, it also restricted head movement, leading to the characteristic Batman turn, where the entire torso moves when looking around, inadvertently adding to the character's imposing demeanour. The cape was made from a lightweight yet durable fabric, designed to flow dramatically during action scenes when Batman made his iconic entrances and exits. The bat emblem on the chest was simplified and enlarged, making it a bold, unmistakable symbol. While the Batsuit needed to look formidable on screen, it also had to be practical for filming. This dual requirement led to several innovative solutions. The suit was constructed in sections to allow for greater flexibility and movement during action scenes. Despite these efforts, the suit was still cumbersome, and Keaton found it hot and difficult to move in. However, this added an unexpected benefit. The stiffness of the suit contributed to the stoic and deliberate movements of Batman, enhancing his portrayal as a calculating and unstoppable force. For the crucial design of the Batmobile, Anton Furst and special effects supervisor John Evans aimed to create a vehicle that was not only functional, but also reflected the dark, brooding nature of Batman himself. The design needed to evoke a sense of power, menace, and mystery, lining up with the film's gothic atmosphere. Furst and his team drew inspiration from a variety of sources, including classic American cars, Art Deco architecture, and the futuristic designs of science fiction. He wanted the Batmobile to be an extension of Batman's persona, sleek, intimidating, and technologically advanced. The final design combined elements of jet aircraft and hot rods, resulting in a long, low-slung car with exaggerated curves and sharp angles. The car's distinctive turbine engine, which was purely aesthetic, was designed to give the impression of incredible speed and power. The interior was equipped with an array of fictional gadgets and controls, reinforcing the Batmobile's image as a high-tech crime-fighting machine. The cockpit was designed to be enclosed, with a canopy that slid forward, adding to the futuristic feel of the vehicle. When Michael Keaton was introduced to the Batmobile during filming, the creators realized there was a slight error with its design. On first trying out the vehicle in full Batman costume, the canopy cut off his bat ears. Rather than redesign the car or Batman's cowl, Keaton simply ducked his head slightly when it closes at the start of the chase scene in the film. Cinematographer Roger Pratt was instrumental in bringing Burton's vision to life. Using a combination of traditional film techniques and innovative lighting, Pratt created a visual style that was dark yet dynamic. The use of shadows and high contrast lighting helped emphasize the film's noir influences, giving depth to both the characters and the environment. In an era before the widespread use of digital effects, Batman relied heavily on practical effects and miniatures to create a distinct visual style. Visual effects supervisor Derek Middings, a veteran of several James Bond films and who won an Academy Award for his work on Superman in 1978, was instrumental in creating the unique practical and miniature effects for the film. The use of practical effects extended to the Batmobile and Batwing, both of which were designed to look as functional and intimidating as possible. This blending of scales helped to create dynamic and visually impressive sequences that still hold up today. One of the film's most memorable effects sequences involves the Batwing flying over Gotham City, culminating in its silhouette against the moon to form the iconic Bat symbol. This sequence is achieved through a combination of miniatures, motion control cameras, and matte paintings. Careful choreography and technical precision required for this shot exemplify the ingenuity and craftsmanship of Middings and his special effects team. Filming on Batman was shrouded in secrecy and required high security even in the age before the internet. The unit publicist was offered and refused $10,000 for the first images of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Police were called in when 2 reels containing about 20 minutes of footage was stolen. Along with going over budget and various other production problems, Tim Burton was under immense pressure to finish filming, calling it terrible, the worst period of my life. The script was heavily rewritten during filming. At one point filming the cathedral climax, Jack Nicholson asked Burton why his character was climbing all these stairs and where he was going. Burton replied, "I don't know. We'll talk about it when you get to the top." Keaton decided during filming that he would perform Batman's voice at a lower register than when he was playing Bruce Wayne, which became a hallmark of the film version of the character. Filming on Batman ended on February 14th, 1989. For the musical score of the film, Tim Burton turned to his regular collaborator, Danny Elfman. Elfman's score not only helped define the film's dark and gothic atmosphere, but also played a crucial role in shaping the audience's perception of Batman and his world. Elfman, who had a background in rock music as the frontman of Oingo Boingo, was relatively new to film scoring at the time. Despite his limited experience, his work on Beetlejuice demonstrated his ability to create atmospheric and memorable music. Burton's confidence in Elfman's talent was well placed, as the Batman score would become one of Elfman's most celebrated works. Elfman approached the Batman score with the intention of creating a sound that was both grand and intimate, capturing the dual nature of the film's hero. He drew inspiration from classical composers such as Bernard Herrmann, whose dramatic and emotionally intense scores influenced Elfman's approach. The result was a score that blended orchestral power with subtle, haunting motifs. The main theme, often referred to as the Batman March, is perhaps the most recognizable piece from the score. It features a bold, ascending brass line that evokes a sense of heroism and determination, while the underlying minor chords add a layer of darkness and complexity. This theme is used throughout the film in various forms, reinforcing Batman's presence and the duality of his character. Elfman's main theme for Batman became so iconic that it continued to be associated with the character in various media, including the 1990s animated series Batman the Animated Series, with even composer Benjamin Wallfisch reprising Elfman's Batman theme for Michael Keaton's return to role in 2023's The Flash. The themes explored in Batman delve into the psychology of fear and the interplay between order and chaos. Fear is a prominent theme in Burton's Batman. Both Batman and the Joker use fear as a weapon. Batman uses his dark and intimidating persona to instill fear in the hearts of Gotham's criminals. His costume, inspired by a bat, a creature traditionally associated with fear, is a deliberate choice to create a powerful symbol that strikes terror into his enemies. On the other hand, the Joker uses fear in a more chaotic and unpredictable manner. His actions are designed to create widespread panic and disorder, reflecting his belief that life is inherently meaningless and chaotic. The Joker's unpredictable nature makes him a particularly frightening antagonist, as he represents the fear of the unknown and the irrational. The film delves into the psychological impact of fear on individuals and society. It explores how fear can be both a source of strength and a tool of manipulation, shaping behavior and influencing decisions. Batman's ability to harness fear for a greater good is contrasted with the Joker's use of fear to promote anarchy and destruction. However, the most central theme of the film, according to Tim Burton, is the duel of the freaks. It's a fight between two disturbed people. The Joker is such a great character because there's complete freedom to him. Any character who operates on the outside of society and is deemed a freak and an outcast then has the freedom to do what they want. They are the darker sides of freedom. Insanity is in some scary way the most freedom you can have, because you're not bound by the laws of society. My personal thoughts on Batman is that it's a film that is dated very well. These days, the idea of Batman as a dark and serious vigilante is very common, but that wasn't always the case. I grew up watching the campy and silly, the hugely enjoyable 60s Batman show. It was in later years reading Batman comics, particularly the likes of Death in the Family and The Dark Knight Returns, that I became a huge fan. The appeal of Batman, at least to me, is that he's technically not a superhero. He has no powers, but has trained his mind and body to be the best. I well remember when Michael Keaton was cast and reading about the letter-writing petitions to have him removed. This was before the internet, kids. I, like many others, assumed the movie would be more comedic due to Keaton's casting. It turns out fans needn't have worried. While the film certainly has its share of comedic moments, mostly due to the Joker's antics, it remains a dark and serious superhero adventure, but still remembers to have fun. When it comes to Michael Keaton's interpretation of the title character, while he may lack the physical presence of Batman in most incarnations of the comics, he gives an expertly understated and nuanced performance. There's a lot going on with his eyes. Even in scenes where he's playing Bruce Wayne in public, you get a sense that there's just something not quite right with this guy. There's something going on just beneath the surface. In the costume as Batman, Keaton is an extremely intimidating presence. Tim Burton makes a wise decision in highlighting Keaton's eyes when he's in the suit. I particularly love the lighting and staging in this scene, as he's almost covered in darkness and you can only see his eyes. He really does look like a creature of the night. Also, Keaton is probably the only actor to play Batman to make him look extra scary when he's smiling. The only thing I can never get out of my mind is Keaton's height during his scenes with Kim Basinger. Basinger in heels is about 6 feet, whereas Keaton is about 5'7". In certain shots, you can see that they cheat to hide this, as Basinger either leans on a rail, or in the scene in her apartment, she sits down while Keaton stays standing. In this close-up scene in the Batcave, I can't help thinking Keaton must be standing on a box or something. I just think it's funny. Overall though, Keaton, while he certainly may not physically embody the Batman character from the comics, his interpretation works, and it's not hard to see why he's considered for many fans the definitive screen Batman. Jack Nicholson's performance as a Joker is hugely enjoyable, even though some would say he's basically playing an exaggerated version of himself. Being a much bigger star than Keaton at the time, he got top billing, so it's understandable that a great deal of the film focuses on him. This led to criticism that the early Batman movies focused too much on his villains rather than Batman himself, and I have to say I agree with a lot of that criticism. By the time of Batman and Robin, it just got ridiculous. It's interesting that despite Nicholson's great performance, like Keaton, he also doesn't physically resemble most incarnations of the character in the comics. Keaton could be considered too slim, while Nicholson too large. What makes Batman 1989 stand out from other superhero movies is that it skips over the traditional origin story that bogs down so many other films of its type. While Batman's origin is hinted at during a flashback, the film never explains quite how he became Batman or his training. While this was described in great detail in the comics over the years, it would not be until Batman Begins in 2005 that a definitive origin story would be told. This approach allows the film to hit the ground running and tell the story of how he goes from being just a vengeful vigilante to Gotham City's true hero. If anything, the film serves as an origin story for the Joker, as we see how Jack Napier goes from being a low-life criminal to the clown prince of crime. Batman 1989 remains my favourite incarnation of Gotham City. Anton Furst's production design has a unique gothic quality that remains timeless over 35 years later. It clearly doesn't take place in what was then the modern world, but a sort of not quite 1930s era, given how the characters are dressed. One could say that Gotham is a major character in the film. Some critics have even said that Burton seemed to have more interest in the film's look rather than the plot itself. Speaking of the plot itself, it's pretty straightforward and not one of the film's highlights. Batman is a triumph of style over substance, and what style it has. As far as the action goes, it's never been Tim Burton's strength as a director, but it's still very enjoyable. I love how the way Burton shoots Batman as a sort of ninja, striking without warning from the shadows. This was quite unique in 1989, and has inspired many Batman movies since then. This film's version of the Batmobile still remains my favourite. Like Gotham City, it has a truly timeless design, and I'll never forget the cheers from the audience during my viewing of the film in 1989, when it makes its fantastic reveal as Batman saves Vicky Vale. The attack of the Batwing is my favourite sequence in the film, and remains a triumph of great production design, miniature and optical effects, which may have dated slightly, but I think it still looks great along with Danny Elfman's score. While the songs Prince composed received a lot of attention at the time of the film's release, Elfman's score stands apart and remains a timeless classic. I've been listening to this album for 35 years now and I never get tired of it. If I have any criticisms of the movie, I do think the film focuses a little too much on Nicholson's Joker. And although Michael Gough gives a good performance as Alfred, and inexplicably gives away Bruce Wayne's identity to Vicky Vale in the infamous scene where he just lets her into the Batcave without Bruce Wayne's consent. It's absolutely unbelievable Alfred would do this, and as screenwriter Sam Hamm once said,
I've been asked about it so many times. That's the one that they asked me about. How could you have Alfred just let Vicky into the Batcave? And I have to say, I agree with you. That is Alfred's last day of employment at Wayne Manor.
To be fair, the filmmakers have an in-joke about this in the next movie, Batman Returns, and acknowledge what a bad decision that was by having Bruce call Alfred out on that.
Security? Who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave? I'm sitting there working and I turn around, there she is. Oh, hi Vic, come on in.
Another controversial aspect for hardcore fans of the comics is the revelation that Jack Napier is revealed as the one who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. This was a huge departure from most incarnations of this event, where the murder was committed by a small-time crook known as Joe Chill. However, I've long accepted that comic book characters and their histories are open to interpretation, and think this change works for this particular movie. Overall, Batman remains a timeless classic superhero movie. While I personally prefer Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, I absolutely love this film, despite its minor flaws. When Batman premiered on June 23, 1989, it was more than just a movie release. It was a cultural event. The film's marketing campaign was unprecedented, featuring the now iconic bat symbol prominently displayed without even mentioning the film's name. This bold strategy paid off, generating immense anticipation and curiosity. Critically, Batman received mixed to positive reviews. While some critics were divided over Burton's dark, gothic vision, many praised the film's visual style and performances. Michael Keaton won over audiences and critics with his nuanced portrayal of Bruce Wayne. Jack Nicholson's performance as Joker was universally acclaimed, with his manic energy and dark humour creating a villain that was both terrifying and unforgettable. Variety magazine felt Jack Nicholson stole every scene, but still greeted the film with positive feedback. Roger Ebert was highly impressed with the production design, acclaimed Batman as a triumph of design over story, style over substance. A great-looking movie with a plot you can't care much about. However, his reviewing partner Gene Siskel disagreed, describing the film as having a refreshingly adult approach with performances, direction, and set design. Cinema audiences, having been primed to anticipate the movie after one of the biggest and most effective marketing campaigns in Hollywood history, turned up to greet the movie in huge numbers. The movie opened at #1 at the box office, breaking opening weekend records that had been set by Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade the previous month. The film continued to perform strongly throughout the rest of the year, staying in cinemas until December, eventually grossing $411.6 million on a $48 million budget. The legacy of Batman is profound, marking a turning point in the portrayal of superheroes on screen. The film demonstrated that comic book adaptations could be both commercially successful and artistically ambitious, paving the way for the modern era of superhero films. The success of Batman also led to a renewed interest in the character across various media. The darker, more serious tone of the film helped distance Batman from the campy image of the 1960s TV series. This tonal shift was further explored in Batman the Animated Series, which debuted in 1992 and is still considered one of the best adaptations of the character. Furthermore, the film's impact is evident in the way it influenced future superhero franchises, including Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Nolan's films, particularly The Dark Knight, owe depth to Burton's vision, with their emphasis on psychological depth and moral ambiguity. Overall, Batman was a landmark event that reshaped the superhero genre. The film's innovative marketing, compelling performances, and distinctive visual style ensured its immediate success and enduring legacy. However, back in 1989, after the huge success of Batman, thoughts soon began to turn to the inevitable sequel. Tim Burton wasn't sure he would come back, and with the Joker gone, which villains from Batman's rogues gallery would he face next? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Share with your friends. Click the bell for notifications. Let me know your thoughts on Batman 89 in the comments. And please join me for the next episode in this series coming soon. Bye for now.